Right, so this is now part 5 of the Polaris diesel. As you can see, the bike's looking a lot better overall. It actually looks like a bike now, rather than some sort of heap of crap. Seat got recovered, looks okay. Best we could do with the foam. I think I'll have another video on that at some point. It might even be the previous videos of this one. The new axle's now in. As you can see down there, brand new axle. As I suspected, because the teeth on the new axle are pretty defined and brand new, it now works fine. There's no slippage at all from the axle. It drives that wheel perfectly well. I can get it to wheel spin in tandem with the other one, whereas before it was only that wheel spinning and this one slipping inside the transmission. So that's all good. The transmission brake here, I spent a good hour oiling that up and loosening it off with a hammer. As you can see now, it works fine, as it should. But I managed to drive it quite a way, and we have determined that the gasket is blown. Every sign suggested that it wasn't blown, but then all of a sudden, after about 6 miles, it started going. So what I think's happened is they've either used sealant in the system that's now gone, or lost its job, or, which is more likely in my opinion, because it's sat for 2 years, the block's a bit corroded, or got a bit corroded, due to the lack of water in it, and sort of temporarily sealed the gasket. But if I take the cap off now, as you can see there's not much water in it anyway, but if I turn her on and click the starter button, well, you can't see because there's no water. I'll just top that up and you'll be able to see. Right, watch this. That is definitely a blown head gasket. So what I've done is I've gone online. I can normally find these for free, but unfortunately I couldn't find this one for free because it's such a rare bike. But a full service manual. This cost me only $5, which is about £4, which is fine. So we're going to go through this manual, and we're going to follow it to disassembly the engine. We could probably do it without the manual, but it makes life so much easier, and make sure you don't mess anything up. Okay, so first job before we even look at that is to get the head exposed, which is going to be removing the tank, and to remove the tank, because unlike a Yamaha, this front fender is all one piece going around the tank. We're going to have to remove the rack, we're going to have to remove the side panels, and to be honest, we are going to have to remove this front panel, but I don't know how to do that yet. I haven't really had a look. I suspect it's going to be the case of just unbolting all the bolts on the footwells either side, and there's probably going to be a couple of bolts holding it at the front. So I'll get on with removing stuff, and I'll be back when there's something else to tell you. Okay, so we're now 15 minutes in. All the plastics are off. Somebody's definitely been in this before. A couple of reasons why I know that. One is the bolts are all different sizes, and also this plastic panel, I did think it would be a hell of a pain to take off, but somebody's obviously had it off in the past and they've just cut it. If you imagine a panel going over it, it would be difficult to get over that headlight part unless you cut it and you can bend it out. Not a problem really, because you can't see it when it's on the bike. That was held in by 4 10mm nuts onto this panel here. To get the blue plastic off, you had to loosen these 2 13mm nuts either side and pull it forward. That blue plastic panel was held on by a T20 Torx bit there, T20 Torx bits there, and another 2 T20s there, as well as 2 bolts down here, one on the for the fender flare, and one for the actual blue plastic in the centre here, and it comes straight off. I did have to resort to using the angle grinder on the other side because the bolts are so rusted. Again, have a pot for your bolts so you don't lose them. If you're doing internal engine work, I'd always try and have a clean, dust-free area to do it, because you really don't want anything going inside the engine. So just the tank's removed now. So looks like we're going to have to take this airbox lid off. Obviously half a second's job, just held them by these 6 clips. You have to remove these vent lines. They don't look too dry rotted, so I'm not too worried. So just pull back the clips and push them off. Obviously there'll be a hose underneath going to the actual block. and it just looks like it's held in by these two 10mm nuts that are into a threaded bar below. So I'll just get them off and I'll be back. Okay, so the tank is now off. One note with Polaris is that for some reason they don't have the valve on the tank like most other bikes. So when you take the tank off, you've got to drain it pretty much immediately and be careful you don't spill anyway. Because you see here's the line that goes to the tank, which goes down to this filler neck thing down there. Not filler, filter, sorry. So yeah, you just got to make sure you don't spill anything when you unload and take it off. So I would drain it first before taking that tap off, otherwise you'll have fuel everywhere. So the next step in the process, if we go over to the manual, it's got remove cam chain tensioner, camshaft, rocker arm, assembly, etc. So that's our next move. Let's have a look. So remove the cover first. So yeah, so we'll move the cover now that covers the throttle here. Then I'll be back. Alright, cheers. Okay, so time for an update. I've done quite a bit since we last spoke. So cylinder head, or valve cover rather, is off. If you can call it a valve cover, it's so you can see in there. Got the roller for the can, and we've got our tappets. There's the cam itself. You got your cam chain, obviously, end caps on it. I've taken the flywheel cover off in preparation to line up the tiny marks to actually disconnect the head. You can see that's the mark that we have to line up, which I'll do at some point. It looks pretty lined up already, but I'll do it at some point. There should be clearance when we actually take the head off, and I think if you look in there you can see the valves are cleared at the minute. But again, as I say, I'll have to line that up and have a look. This is held on by 10mm bolts. You can do it without removing this cover, which is always good because the bolts always get really corroded and you have to grind them off if you need to take this footwell off. That's not oil bath, so you don't have to worry about oil coming out of there. To get this cover off, it's 10mm bolts. You can see all of the ones around the outside that I've removed, and then you have to take the throttle cover off, and there's 2 bolts in there, as you can see. Just turn that back over. Obviously I've got to disconnect your injector hose. So yeah, obviously I had to take the airbox out as well, which is connected to the intake manifold here. I had to remove the exhaust manifold from down there. You can see that in there. It's actually off the block now. Had to disconnect the exhaust from the hanger here, so they could be pulled forward in order to undo the springs connecting to the downpipe, and the downpipe be removed. Here's the downpipe. Not too sooted up in there, so that's good. As I say, the cam doesn't have any damage really that I'm concerned about. There is some scoring on this one in the middle here. It's not at all bad really for the hours that are on it. As you can see, the roller is not too scored either. I can't feel them in my nails at all, so that's fine by me. What else have I done? Have a think. Oh yeah, there are a lot of evaporation hoses. So this one goes to the airbox from the front, obviously left hand side of the airbox. That socket there. Same deal on the other side, comes down from the filter. I think this is an emissions line, runs to the other side of the airbox. Got this T here, which sits on the injector feed down there. Well, it's not really an injector feed, that it's but anyway, that sits there, and that one goes up to the tank. The proper injector feed's on the top here. There. You want to keep that clean because it'll mess up your injector otherwise. The injector feed, I've got, this is for my own memory as much as anything. I've got this drill bit in this one which goes to the tank, and then the injector feed I've got a bolt in. Okay, so what's next? So I've got to remove the head bolts. They're Torx bit by the looks of it. I think someone's been in here before because, as I say, there's sealant all around it. There's a bit of a chip here which I didn't do. And then bolts do look like they've had a spanner on in the past, but it might just be manufacture. Not sure. So there's this assembly here which you need to remove. I can't quite remember what that's called. Let's have a look in the manual. Let's see. So we've done all the removal of the tank, positioning top dead centre, which we'll be doing in a minute. Rotate the engine, blah blah blah. With the pin up. It's not about removing the tensioner. So it's called a thrust plate. Got to remove the thrust plate. I've never actually come across one of them before on a bike, but there you go. This is a reasonably complicated engine in a quad for this, but it should be applicable to most other petrol bikes. So yeah, I'll be lining that up now and taking off the head bolts, taking off the cam chain. Your cam chain tensioner, where's that? That's got to come out now. So yeah, I'll be back in a moment. Okay, before I move the actual head, there are a couple of other bits I just forgot to mention that needed removing. So there's this earth strap here, which I've taken off. This mount, engine support, so bolt on either side of that I've just taken off. And also the radiator hose feeding the head there. So I've removed them items. We can tell that the engine mount at the bottom is really gone, because when I took that off, the whole engine went that way. So, yes. Alright, I'll see you in a minute. Right, so the disassembly now is complete. The head is off. Here it is. In the end, I decided to take the whole cam out rather than the actual cam cog, if you know what I mean. Because I was afraid of these bolts falling down into the engine, so it was just easier to remove the actual cam itself. The cam itself, as you can see, is in quite good condition. Well, very good condition really. There's very minimal scoring for a bike of this age and ours. The can caps do have a bit of wear. If I can undo the bot on this one, I'll be able to show you. This one is by far the worst, at the worst area of scoring, should I say, on the whole bike. There you go, you can see in there. That is quite bad, to be honest, but it was running fine, and it is an old bike, so I'm going to leave it as it is. It's not by no means terrible. I have seen worse, but for a farm bike, it is only in that area. And if I run my finger over it, I can only just feel it. It looks a lot worse than it is. So as I say, I'm going to run it at like that because engine parts are obsolete anyways. There's not much I could do besides bringing it to a machine shop. The heads of the valves are in very good condition. There's no marks at all on them. If I flip the head over, ignore the bit of oil that seeped out, but it's in good nick. There's no carbon build-up really for a diesel engine. That's very minimal indeed. The injector tip, focusing there, is a little bit dirty. I'll clean that up before it goes back on. You can see all the gasket material is left on the head. That gasket was definitely due for replacement. It's not an asbestos gasket as it's an 01 bike. Here's the actual gasket itself. It looks worse than it actually is because obviously some of the material is left on the head and on the block. But you can see where it's fouled. If I put that down there, you can see where diesel exhaust has been blowing past. There and there. Doesn't look like we've got a lot of contamination. Well, we didn't have any contamination in the oil. And looking round it, there's nowhere really water could have got in there. You see, these are the water galleries around there, and I suppose this one could have potentially gone into the oil and this one, but most of them you can't see much soot on. So I think it really was a question of just having a minor fracture, which was causing most of the gas to escape. Let's take a quick look down at the piston. Piston again is in good condition. There's nothing that's ever contacted that. Really, that's all that's left me now. I'm not going to change the rings because again, they're extremely hard to get hold of, and it wasn't smoking, it was running fine. I just need to clean all the mating surfaces up. The head bolts, they're not, I can't say, but I don't think they are a Torx bit. They've not got enough definition to them to be a Torx bit. I think they're really, oh, don't want that pot to go down in there. Put that back on there. Where's the socket I used to take it off? I don't think it was a Torx bit. I think it's a multi-point socket, so 12 points, because the 12 point fits very well indeed on these head bolts. No, it's too hard to put it on there now, but let's see when, there you go. There's literally, if I hold that there, no play at all there, so I think this is the correct socket for them. I haven't got, unfortunately, a socket that will fit a 1/2" torque wrench to be putting the head bolts back on, so I'm either going to have to get a 3/8" torque wrench, or I'm going to have to get a socket, a 1/2" socket that will fit my 1/2" torque wrench, because although I've got a 1/2" 14mm, it's only a 5 rather than 12. So that's going to stop me rebuilding it today. So I think that's going to be the end to this video. Drop a comment down below, like and please subscribe, because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and if I do that, then I'll carry on making more videos, because it'll be worth the bother. So alright, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, just a quick little follow on to this video before I stop it, because I doubt I'll be filming putting the head itself back on, because I'm probably going to do that now. Because although I can't torque the bolts, I can certainly get it reassembled. But I've cleaned it up. I was slightly concerned about it being warped, because obviously if the blown head gasket's gone, then it's likely to have been overheated at some point. But I've got my relatively straight edge ruler here. If I drop that down on the head, you can see, although yeah, there might be very, very, very minimal warpage, it is tiny, because pretty much no matter where I put this, other than obviously over the valves, it's flat. So I'm happy enough to reassemble that. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.